Moving into arrays. Now, arrays are a way to have a group or collection or an assortment of the same data type stored together, whether it's a bunch of numbers, a bunch of words, or a bunch of objects. Remembering that when we use a class, we're creating an object. So we looked at previously how to create a class so we can have multiple instances of something in our program. An array is where we can store those instances for easy access. Once we move beyond having a single copy of something, it probably belongs in an array. Now, the syntax for working with an array is going to be data type, then 2 square brackets indicating that this is an array. So square brackets always indicate array when we are working in processing and in a lot of other languages as well. Then we'll have our array name. So this is how we can establish the variable for it. If we want to just assign the contents of it, then we use curly braces, and inside those curly braces we will put our items. And arrays do a funny thing in that they have a position number associated with each thing in the array. And that position number starts counting at 0. Computers like to start counting from 0, not from 1. So they like to start at the beginning, which is nothing, so we always start with 0. So the position of each item in our array, the first item is at position 0, the next one is at position 1, then position 2, then position 3, etc., depending on how big the array gets. So we can populate an array immediately with curly braces, but we can also establish an array where we would specify our data type, and then square braces indicating it's going to be an array. Again, the array name, and then so we can end the variable here, or we can say is equal to a new, and once again we specify the same data type. I do find that little piece kind of annoying that we specify data type twice on it. We've assigned it to the variable, but it says a new array of whatever that data type is, and actually I'll just put number of items in array, because I was going to do a demo where I would use 3, so then it would be the number 3 there. Now, to put something into this array, we would say array name, square brace, the position we want to put it, close out my square brace, and then the item we're putting in. And if I was doing this for real, I would have a semicolon at the end. So right now I'm just trying to make it clear what each piece of the puzzle is. So if I had 3 items in the array, then I would repeat this. Thought there was a return at the end, but there was not. So we'd have item 1, item 2, item 1, item 2. So if we had 3 items in the array, this is how we could populate it. I'm going to comment these out because, well, they're not real code and they were generating errors, and now let's do it for real. So if I say int, and again square braces indicating this variable will be an array, so it's a variable that holds more than one item in it. I'll say events array equals, and then I'll just use curly brace. So I put in my opening and close 1, go back 1 space, and now I can go 2, 4, 6, 8. So now I have put those in, put in a semicolon to end my line. Now it's giving me a warning saying, hey, you're not actually using this, but I can print line evens array, and we can see where it puts item 0 is 2, item 1 is 4, item 2 is 6, and item 3 is 8. So we can see how it's now populated with elements. Now using the second method, so int odds array, and I could do odds array equals new int and square brackets there, or I could do semicolon and then go, and just for consistency this is odds, not odd, because we have evens. So odds array is equal to new square brackets, and inside the square bracket, and the type int, and in the square brackets, let's just say I put in 5 numbers and the line with a semicolon. Now I can say odds array square bracket 0 close square bracket is equal to 1. Odds array square bracket 1 is equal to 3. Odds array square bracket 2 is equal to 5. Odds array square bracket 3 is equal to 7. And odds array square bracket 4. So it's the 5th item in my array, but it's in the 4th, position 4, because we always start from 0. So position 0, position 1, 2, 3, and finally 4. Just like that. Now if I wanted to print something out, so say print line, and in quotes say evens second item is, in quote, plus evens array, and that would be 1 because I'm asking for the second item in my array. Close out my print, and now let's run this, and we get even second item is 4. And if we look at the evens array, the first item is 2, the second item is 4. So we want to get comfortable selecting specific items within an array. Later on we'll learn how to search through an array to find specific items so that we can work with it. But right now we want to be able to identify a specific item. Often we're going to identify things by their position number in the array so that we can access it. Other times we'll find an item in the array that has a particular value, and once it does, then we can do something with that. Now arrays possess another property, and that is a length property. And what that length property is how many items are in my array. But not items, it's how many spots could hold items. To be a little bit more precise with it. Oh, and I just realized as I'm trying to talk and type at the same time, the brain doesn't always finish everything. So the way that we access how many items are in arrays is we use the word length as part of it. Oh, and I need a closing quote over here because I'm like, why is it still red? Oh, there's my closing quote. Now the world is happy again. So odds array is that, so let's print this out and see what we get. So odds is 5 items. So now it tells me how many items are in my array. Arrays don't, as I said, have to just be for integers or numbers. We can also put words into them. Later on we will put class objects into them. So I'll just make an array with string. I'll just say words equal to new string, square bracket 3, close square bracket, semicolon. That ends it out. Now, words position 0 is going to be equal to Scooby. Words position 1 is going to be equal to Shaggy. And words position 2 is going to be equal to Velma. And now if we just print this out, run it, we'll see it gave us which items are in that array. Now if I want to change something change an item, what I can do is if I wanted, say, Velma to become Daphne, and now print this out again, run it, we can see how it changed the item in my array. With the word changed in my words, it now changed what is there for that third item. So arrays allow us, there's a lot of other array methods that we can use, but the way that we're going to be working with them is we will be treating our arrays as, once we create them, they are of a fixed size. We won't be dynamically adding or subtracting to the size of the array once we have it. So we'll have to plan appropriately while we're designing our programs so we know exactly how many items we want to put into an array. And that's going to allow us to then store that data and work with it. But there are ways that we can work with dynamic length arrays, meaning we can add items to it, subtract items from it, so the array grows and shrinks in number of items or length over time. And that's okay to do. But for now, we're going to just keep our arrays at a fixed length once we create it.